As of 3 days ago, as I told you all, this is the teaching part. We actually went ahead, and I will give you the details. Please don't ask me for the details right now, but I am going to let you know that we have gone ahead and we have filed the papers for liberation on behalf of all African Americans in this country, in the United States World Court. Those papers have been filed. I'll be providing you information if you would like to go examine the case files. But technically what I've done, along with the help of a few powerful folks whose names I won't reveal because we like to keep it in the family here, lawyers and those who work within the international community have filed those papers of liberation declaring all of you all who are descendants of the African, the Portuguese, the Atlantic slave trade, to be a nation within the nation. I'm proud to announce that tonight. Those papers have been filed. And now this was part of the plan all along. I told you, you cannot get reparations if you are a color. You cannot get restitution if you are a color. You have to be declared some form of a nation. Now, don't get it confused. I know we got some folks running around claiming that they're sovereign to another country, but that country's not trying to petition for reparations right now. Don't talk to me about Liberia. They destroyed Liberia and put it in such a sad financial state that it can't even get itself together. Oh, no, 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 no. All we needed was the liberation to be filed within the world court and declare us as a nation within a nation. As I told you, that action has been accomplished. We will pull the copies of those records from the world court. I shall make them available to the public. And then you all can sit around and talk about that the same way you talk about everything else. I told you, we're going one way or the other, with you or without you. You can stay here. We really don't care at this point. It is time for us to go. You gonna sit around and wait for them to finish the election and for this guy to get in there for another 4 years crookedly and then bring the hammer down? Or you gonna start listening to these folks and be sitting back talking about, I knew I should have rolled out when they rolled out, or at least talked about where they was going or something. I'm not gonna say it no more, but I want to let you know that we have filed those papers with the world court. Now, why would we do that? Because you see, in order to make it stick, we have to be able to demonstrate a percentage of the population is united. You get 1 million of us in one place. You now satisfy the international requirement of the justification of a population within a nation representatory of this black nation. I don't need all 47, 50 million of y'all. I just need 1 million of y'all to show up in one place at one time, and we capture that, and then we can go back to the UN and say, this is 1% of that population. Strapped up, shorty, and ready to rock. We need some help here, okay? And then we can take advantage of the 56 nations that are standing by to offer us all kind of assistance in everything from maybe fighting for our reparations to an evacuation to sending you someplace that even if you don't want to go with us to the new neo nation, you can go to one of them. But to get the door open, which is what we've done, we have moved ahead. I don't sit in the capacity as a warlord. I sit in the capacity of someone who's trying to lead a few people somewhere, so I don't have to sit back with a Mai Tai in my hand talking about it's a shame what happened to them people over in America that didn't come with us. It's a shame. Hey, somebody pulled me something else. Did we grow this? This is okay. Now, it's September. Told y'all we was going to do this in September and that we hope to have this action answered here shortly. Now, that leads me to another topic that I want to touch on for a second. If you've been following the class for a minute, you know that I said that you cannot have a nation within a nation unless you can defend the nation. Well, what do you think is the entity that would defend this nation? No, it's not your local riot force that comes out every time the cops continue to do to us what they've been doing to us because we don't have no control of our own neighborhoods. They only come in the neighborhood because there's no resistance to stop them from coming in. But y'all remember not too long ago when I taught y'all about if we just had 55,000 black Americans And I think I got that many right now that just want to be down with the system anyway. 55,000 black Americans. Y'all remember how I broke it down? I said, let's just say, just to put some bread in your pocket, we put $1,600 in your pocket every month. That's for everybody that's inside of the black American military. There you go. You in there. It's 55,000 of y'all. I'm going to give you $1,600 a pop. That's monthly. That's guaranteed. Nothing you will get that. Do that what you want. Now you take 55,000 soldiers and you multiply it times 1,600 and you come out with $88 million a month. It will cost you $88 million a month so that you could pay the black soldiers. Now, you also going to have some funding to run the black army. So now you got 20 million, and there's 50 some million black Americans. All you need is 20 million black Americans to pay $10 a month. That's it. $10, what you spend in a drive-through, $10 a month times 20 million people is $200 million a month. Remember, it's going to cost $88 million to pay y'all for being in it. That leaves you $112 million left over to pay for more soldiers' gear, more equipment, they housing, they training, they travel, they medical, and they black businesses. All of that will come out of y'all putting $10 a month, just 20 million of y'all, and we could have our own standing army for 50,000 black Americans who are already inside this country to do what? To defend and protect the black ethno nation. I just broke that down for y'all. Ain't nobody sat down and thought this thing through. This is the kind of thinking we need to get in the room. We don't need to get in rooms and talk about, oh, woe is me and what they done did to us. We don't need to be sitting around talking about, well, how do we try to talk to them? No, unless that needs to stop. Since that's not going to stop, we need to start talking about what we're going to do. And what we're going to do is you have to think out if you're going to move as a nation like y'all claim y'all want to do. If y'all truly want to get this thing rolling and popping like y'all claim y'all want to do, then what you're going to have to do is somebody going to take a $10 bill and you're going to have to send it at $10 a month. And what happens is times 20 million is $200 million, $88 million going. The people involved are getting a paycheck. I taught y'all this before. And the last time I taught it, some people got it, some people didn't. But then that leads us to the next logical question of what I want to teach tonight. And that is, somebody said, well, okay, Jay, we got this million people now. Let's just keep that same million from all walks of life. And we got the army now. We got the army. We got the 55,000 over here. We cool. So really we sitting on 1.5. We're 1.05. We're good. Okay. All right. So my question to you becomes, how much land is required for a 1 million person city? See, here's where it flips. You've heard me talk so much about us leaving, but what you haven't heard me talk about is what we can do while we are still here. I don't mean running down buying 90 acres. 90 acres ain't gonna work. We're gonna run out of space real quick with that. Let's start with 1 million. Let's imagine we're gonna build a new 1 million person city. Now, I ain't saying other races can't come work there. We come work in y'all shit, but it's a black city. And we're gonna operate it under an economic system. I'm gonna break that down to you. Our new city is gonna be independent and self-contained in the terms of its food, its energy, its industrial production, and so on. And how much land will the city need? This is for y'all who talking about, I'm not going anywhere. My family built this country. I'm staying. Okay, then, smart people. Then let's talk about what that looks like then. If y'all ain't trying to get out of here in the next 3 to 5 years, if y'all want to sit around here and think you're going to be able to prosper under the current conditions without taking some kind of drastic step that involves your money and your time and your political power, here is your route. Here is your route right here. Now, it's possible to build a city quicker. You know, remember in China, they done built multiple times. There's a city called Shenzhen, and it grew from 30,000 to about 10 million people over the course of 30 years. And Shenzhen produces the majority of the world's electronics. Just this one city produces 90% of all of the electronics used across this planet. There's no question this can be done. You think we can't build a city that supplies the world with something and be prosperous in that city based off of what we make? Y'all underestimate the ingenuity of black people. Most of the stuff that y'all like to use today, from the garbage disposal to shoestrings, came from black people. Why? Out of necessity. Because we got tired of doing it ourselves. I would have invented a machine to wash dishes too. If I had to wash dishes my whole damn life and got my ass beat for it and all kind of crazy stuff. Or I've been there like, you know what? This shit right here is not going to work. Hey, bro, check this out. It's washing the dishes, dude. Don't put your hands on me. It's washing the dishes, dude. So you mean to tell me that we can't go somewhere in the United States with all this damn land out here and legally buy that much? It's just how much land would we need? What we gonna do with the land when we get it? I'm gonna cover all of that right here on Facts Over Feelings tonight. 1,000,000 to 1. 1,000,000 of us into one place. 1,000,000 to 1. Now, let's assume that we got 1,000,000 people. You know, and we can do larger size, but we're just going to do a steady state population of 1,000,000. The first thing we got to talk about is housing. Yeah, the amount of space needed for housing. It really depends on how much we choose to house our people. We have to make a decision of how comfortable we want to be. Let's say 10 people per acre for housing. We need 100,000 acres or 160 square miles. At 25 people per acre, we need about 40,000 acres or 62 square miles. So we ask everybody, if you want to make this your kumbaya, if you want to make this your dream place, if you said everybody 40 acres and a mule, if you did 40 acres and a mule, you got to sit there and remember, if we talking about 25 people, oh, come on now. 1,000,000 people? Okay, we'll run with that. On the other hand, by building large, tall buildings, we could house everyone on much tinier amounts of land. 10 square miles could be sufficient to house the whole 1,000,000-person population, depending on how much square footage each person is given for housing. So there's a range. I'm teaching. At its most spread out with suburban-style single-family dwellings and a picket fence around each one, we're talking about 200 square miles are necessary for housing 1,000,000 people. And this option also maximizes the infrastructure costs. We're talking about water, sewer, electricity, internet, transportation. All this stuff y'all got to think through. And so on and on and on, because everybody going to want to be spread out. On the other end of the spectrum, if we want to do that, we can compact everybody into 10 square miles by making everything tall. These are the type of things we have to consider. Where are we going to put everybody? Where are we going to live? Recreation. I'm doing it backwards for you because a lot of y'all wouldn't think about these things when you talk about building a city. These are the things that keep you in the city. These are the things that make you want to work in the city. These are the things that make you productive inside of the city. These are the things that they think about when they run out there and build their little towns, and then when the shit catch on fire, oh my God, I can't believe everything burnt up. What the hell was y'all doing out there anyway? We're not doing that, black people. We ain't building no cities. Y'all mind is on something else. Y'all too busy trying to survive in the cities and make money, and that's it, and be a resident. Y'all ain't thinking about building those cities. Well, if you want to do something and you ain't ready to pick up and leave, then start at least thinking about building some black cities. We talk about recreation. How much space you going to dedicate to parks and similar places of recreation? People like to take a walk. They want to hike and play football, ride a bike. Look, if you assume that you want everybody to visit the parks all around your city, you better square off 15 square miles just for that alone. Now let's talk about retail. You got to think about that too. If you're going to have housing mixed in with residential, you're going to have retail, restaurant, gas stations, all of that. That takes up a lot of space. So the housing takes up 100 square miles. It's easy to imagine another 10 square miles for retail and restaurants and schools and hospitals, but it really going to depend. What if our new city has no need for retail space because everybody comes in via the internet? What if everybody there got free internet? You understand what I'm saying? And now our new city can handle all types of transportation publicly because private cars for every resident is an incredibly inefficient way. You can ban cars and put in a system where everybody has free access to public transportation. Energy efficient. Y'all don't seem to realize what I'm trying to tell you. I ain't just saying go build another hellhole. I'm saying go build yourself a home. But let me take it a step further. Let's talk about farming. We're talking about feeding ourselves. Yeah, we can use normal dirt farming for staples like wheat and potatoes, and then advanced greenhouses for our vegetables. If we assume that there's a wide variety of food available for everyone, then perhaps we need a quarter or an acre per resident for farming. That means that we need 250,000 acres or 390 square miles of farmland. One thing that could change all this is meat. Meat animals can consume a great deal of food and produce meat, and the number varies by animal. So y'all got to make up your mind. If y'all bring that meat eating over there with you, now you need more land for that. But if we cut all that out and we actually get back into our true diet, it's going to be hard for some people. But if we get everybody on the right diet, we truly will shine as the beautiful people that we are, and our life longevity will be incredible. But if we're going to still have people in there, you got to remember the efficiency with which various animals convert grains into protein varies. So with cattle and feed, it takes 7 kilograms of grain. Y'all got to feed these animals. You understand what I'm saying? If y'all want to, but I would assume that we wouldn't do that. But I'm just going through what you're going to need. The point is, if y'all still want to eat beef, you're going to need to grow a lot more grain to do it, because you got to feed the animals. Think about it. Let's talk about electricity. Chances are that our new city is going to get its power. Now, I'm about to blow your minds. Look, they're not going to have no infrastructure for you. They're not going to extend the infrastructure to the new black city. They're not going to extend the water pipes and the electricity. You got to outsmart them. Chances are that our new city is going to get its power from solar panels, wind, or even nuclear power. It's another option for green power generation. If we assume solar, let's go with solar. Let's say we're going to use the sun that they're trying to block right now. And we can calculate the energy of this new city and determine the amount of land needed, and it goes something like this. I'm going to break it down for you. I need y'all to stay with me. Assume the city needs 20 kilowatt hours of electricity per person per day. That takes into account all the uses, both home and industrial. Now assume 1,000 watt square meter of solar radiation just coming in. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now assume the solar panels got 20% efficiency. They don't get 100 because the sun is not always on, right? Now assume 5 hours of usable sunlight per day. That's what you're going to get from all throughout the day. And assume there's some space in between the panels. Now add all this up for 1 million residents. And you're going to need 20 square miles of solar panels. Then you got to think about your industrial. You got to have a city that's going to have a lot of factories, because everything that the city needs is going to be made right there in the city. And factories tend to be large. So given the number of products that we're going to have to produce, let's assume about 100 square miles for factory space and additional information on, stuff like that. You got to see how the city is growing. Then you got to have foresting. All right. How you going, what your house is going to be made of? This is the part that kills me when I tell people this. What your house is going to be made of? What about the diapers and the toilet paper? See, this is another way of asking, what will be the role of wood products in our new city? If we're using wood products in our new city, needs forest land. And for the sake of calculation, assume that our new city wants to produce standardized wooden houses of the type found throughout every other American city. We need about 2,000 board feet of lumber for a 300 square foot house. A mature pine tree, which is 35 years, I ain't even go through it. We're going to need some forest land. Okay? So we need to round this up to about 100 square miles of forest. Point blank. There's 2 advantages. It'd be plenty of wood for all kinds of common paper products like toilet paper and diapers. And 2, people who don't like crowds will have a big quiet place to go when they need to get a goddamn break. They take their ass to the woods. So let me add it all up. I'm about to break it down. I'm about to sum this up. I'm broke it down to you. Y'all can play this back later. If we add all this up, here's the total land we're going to need for 1 million persons in one city. For housing, 100 square miles. Recreation, 15 square miles. Retail, 10 square miles. Agriculture, 500 square miles. Solar panels, 20 square miles. Industrial, 100 square miles. Forest, 100 square miles. Our new city, therefore, requires 845 square miles of land. 845 square miles of land, and we could cover everything inside of our own self-contained city, where we're housing ourselves, having our own sports, selling in our own stores from our own businesses, growing our own food and selling it in our own supermarkets, getting our power free from the sun for the most part, industrial, building our own stuff, and then making stuff out of our own forest and having our own parks. That is our own city. I didn't even talk about things such as law enforcement and schooling and all of that. I didn't talk about cultural places. I didn't talk about science. Those things come beside the fact. 845 square miles. How big is 845 square miles? One way to think about it, it's a piece of land that's 29 miles by 29 miles. Did y'all just hear what I just said? 29 miles long. 29 miles. That's it. Some cities, you can drive to the next city. It's more than that. 29 miles by 29 miles. Okay, try this. If you look at the state of Rhode Island, go look at the map right now. And if you look at the map of the state of Rhode Island on a map, the state of Rhode Island is bigger than the space we need for our new city. Rhode Island covers 1,212 square miles. In other words, if Rhode Island was shaped like a square, Rhode Island will be 35 by 35 square miles. Rhode Island is a good bit bigger than what we need. We can easily fit our new standalone city for 1 million people into the state of Rhode Island. 29 miles. Y'all mean to tell me we can't find 29 miles of land out in the middle of nowhere that we can't build a city? I done told y'all, so you don't want to go when the Exodus happened. You want to stay here. 29 miles. If we want to minimize the land consumed by the city, we could go with much more compact housing and save another 90 miles. We could eliminate meat and save 110 square miles. We could compress everything together like the forest. Now our city will fit in 500 square miles. Do the math yourself. Don't be a dummy. Don't sit there and believe me. Get your calculators out and play this back and do the math. 1 million people fitting into 500 square miles means 2,000 people per square mile. 1 million people fitting into 1,000 square miles is 1,000 people per square mile. So there's not many places on earth where a nation is completely independent in terms of food production, energy production, industrial production. But if we want to compare the density of this new city with different places on earth, check this out. Several nations like Puerto Rico, Bermuda, and Taiwan, they have population density similar to this. Did y'all know that Puerto Rico, for example,